Hello and welcome to Free Cheese episode 377. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good everything. It's a podcast week, but not a big news week. Instead, we're going to catch up on the games we've played in the last week. We're going to catch up on some news. There's not no news at all, but I think it's going to be more of a laid-back show. We had an action-packed, hot 3 hours of hot action last week talking about the new consoles. We'll rein it back in this week a little bit. Mark, how are you doing this Monday morning, bright and early? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, a.k.a. Saturday night.
Alive and amplified.
Amplified, that's a self-ascribed adjective I don't hear quite often. What's got you so amped up over there, Vin Diesel?
Well, it was mostly a reference to a song, but by the Mooney Suzuki. It's probably their only hit, honestly. I don't know. November, usually Zelda-like things happen, may or may not. We'll see.
Yeah.
That may be a reason.
Okay. All right, I'm following a little bit. I'm tracking a little bit. Matt, on your end of the what do we call this? Discord channel. How's everything happening in Mattland?
It's good. It is fun. We're doing great.
Just generally across the board,
Generally,
doing all right.
we're doing all right.
If you were gonna name a song by Mooney Suzuki, what would you name it?
Untitled.
Okay, I can that
happens. People do that.
Yes. Matt, you might actually, as I bing Mooney Suzuki, you may actually be familiar with the song Mark is referring to because it looks like it appeared in the video game Madden NFL 2005.
Oh yeah, that's the Ray Lewis cover. All right, yeah, I played.
So I played the
hell out of that
later
one.
on, you explore this on your own time, you'll be like, "Oh my god, I totally remember this Menu song playing a whole bunch."
Yeah, that's when the music was good in those games too.
Yeah, that's true. Like early 2000s for a lot of games just had great soundtracks. But I remember it being like in a car commercial. And a car was just driving crazy on the highway for some reason. And then like a week later I saw that band play on like Conan O'Brien or something.
I remember there was a song, what was this song? Days Go By Dirty Vegas.
Yeah.
And I feel like that music video was just a car commercial. But I'd like that song and something by Kylie Minogue are very much like intertwined in my brain because of where they debuted on TRL at the time or something like that.
Yeah. I can see that.
That Vertical Horizon, remember that?
Oh, never. It's still on my Spotify. You kidding me?
Yeah. I think it's funny because now I'm separated far enough from both memories that they also have become one, but the Vertical Horizon music video brought to you by TRL, presented by Carson Daly, featuring Christina Aguilera. The music video for the one, I don't remember the name of the song, but the one, it's like a whole beauty pageant, backstage at a beauty pageant. They're like a bunch of girls beating each other up and breaking mirrors and stuff because they're sad or something. And then us playing through Hitman in Paris, going backstage, like that backstage area behind the scenes of the show or whatever. That all to me is one through line betwixt the two. You got any memories like that? What blur together?
Oh, all the time. Can I name one now? I'm not too sure. I usually like end up like mixing movies, like the names of a movie or like the name of a song with like another one. Like it's always the name's always mixed up with something. It's not so much that complex.
I just bought a new hair goop that smells like an eraser I had when I was a kid. And then when I mentioned it to my brother, he was like, "Oh, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about."
Oh, has
no
anybody...
one else will know ever. But
anybody had the Fruit Loops Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
No, you're not the first person that said that to me this week, though. So
would I be the first person to say that it tastes like soap?
No one else gave me.
No, that tastes like a Fruit Loop, dude.
I don't. Maybe it's just because after like what I ate, but I'm not used to. Because like when I think of Fruit Loops, I think of like cold milk in a bowl. I don't think of just eating it dry. So I'm eating this dry, and I don't know if it's because the JPEG that's printed on top of the Pop-Tart is affecting the taste, but it made me think of like some kind of soap. I don't know.
Well, that's what it is. There's two types of people. There's people who can taste Pop-Tarts and people who can taste soap. So, don't put Pop-Tarts in your guacamole, I guess.
This is no. This is the next viral thing. The ones like, oh, what do you see, or what do you hear? Well, what do you taste? A Fruit Loop or soap?
And I think the texture had something to do with it too. Because me thinking Pop-Tart, but me thinking Fruit Loop, even though I'm tasting a Pop-Tart, the texture, it's like, is this what like biting into like a urinal cake would be like? It's giving me like that kind of feeling, and I just can't do it.
Hey, well, you know what the texture of a JPEG is, though.
I do now. Yeah, I actually do.
Mark walks in. Do I look like I know the texture of a JPEG?
Do I know what a JPEG tastes like?
More on Hank Hill later. But first, I want you guys to know that I'm yours forever. So says the song in Tetris Effect Connected over and over and over again. We did it. We said we were going to play a video game together, and we played a video game together last week. We got together. We played Tetris Effect Connected. We got to play the multiplayer mode. We got to do a bunch of rounds of that, which was a lot of fun. How you feeling a week out from that?
I mean, I still enjoy it, especially the last part that we did, because that song is still in my head. Always down to play Tetris, whenever, however.
I think that's I think this mode's a very unique thing for Tetris, and it works very well. It kind of went as I thought it would with us being on an Xbox Live Party. It's so when the boards combine here, all right, so the boards are separated on the screen for listeners that don't know how this mode works. You're against a computer AI. There are 3 boards separated. At that point, you're doing all the lines and stuff and combos to try to build your Tetris Effect meter. Once that meter gets filled by each of our boards' collaboration, the boards combine into the effects mode, that special meter thing that they have in this game, and then you start knocking out lines, and then with those lines, you attack the AI boss and try to, get them to kill their board or whatever. So, and I said this last week when I was like, oh, I wonder if me playing with someone over voice chat would that help. It helped a little bit, but it does move so fast that sometimes with the voice chat, even the slight delay in the voice chat, we're already on to the next move before we kind of communicated it. But still, it was fun just to actually just talk to someone while playing the Tetris, and we're not competitive about it. We're actually working together, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I really liked that aspect of having to because you are moving so fast, having to try and think how you guys think about Tetris and keep that in mind while I'm thinking about how I think about Tetris. And I think in the end, even when you're not thinking or perfectly lined up, there were plenty of times where I just completely was not paying attention that you guys were queued up to lay a piece down when we had to, cross over together. And I was just let me drop here. And I just hear one of you go oh, okay. Yeah. But you can quickly just pivot and move to a different thing because it's Tetris and you can always keep building. But it was a lot of fun. I never thought I'd want to play cooperative Tetris, but I liked it.
I don't know how many stages or rounds of that thing we played was a connected mode, I think it's called. I know there's usually 3 or 4 boards in a stage or area or whatever they call it.
We might have done 2 or 3. 2.
I think we did 2. Because I think it was.
I know we did 2, but how many boards were there against computer? How many new computer AI came in during that stage? Was it 3?
I think so.
3 per.
Yeah,
and we did 2, so it should have been 6 because we had the. I don't remember.
We fought.
We did a lot of zodiac signs.
Yeah, we fought half the horoscope. So
yeah, so I don't know how many stages. I don't know how many stages they have of this and what their how many tracks on their soundtrack, but I mean, you said it. We joked about "I'm yours forever," but it's because we heard that line. It sounded like 80,000 times.
It was a lot of that.
And that's a good song. It's a really good song, but at some point there is a breaking point of hearing "I'm yours forever" every time we go into the effects mode together.
Yeah, because it's weird. Like, they still try to, like... Because the first game, a lot was based on, like, how the music would come in dynamically, based on what you do and how you move your pieces. Each thing was, like, its own little sound piece, and it would trigger other parts of the song. So I guess they were kind of trying to do this again with the co-op thing when we actually get connected. But, like, the way they make it build up, it's like a DJ building up to do that drop. And it makes you almost like panic for a second because everything is speeding up. And when I hear songs speeding up, it makes me think the difficulty is increased. And
as you're trained to do in Journey mode.
You can't do that in a Tetris game. For just for like a coolness factor to make it sound neat. But yeah, it's those three words will be in my head for forever.
If you haven't tried it yet, it is out on Xbox. It is out on Windows 10 PC via the Windows Store, and of course available on Game Pass. Every other platform gets it next year at some point. I think in like July or somewhere in the summer was like the loose tentative date for that. So yeah, well, I can't speak highly enough of it.
I do want to. I can't remember if I said this last week. I may rebuy this on PS5 because I'm curious how if they will mess with the DualSense and how that will work, because that Xbox controller is definitely rumbling at times during these boards. So that's just one thing I'm thinking about. I might add with something like this game. It might add a lot.
Yeah, I could see that. I would. This is a game where like I played it on PS4 and like. Even if this did not add the connected stuff, like playing it on Xbox, where having 4K HDR stuff like that also is cool. Even on an Xbox One S, you can get some of that stuff, and it adds a bunch to it. The Pro, but I don't have a PS4 Pro. But that is out now. Also out now, making some waves this week as a Game of the Year nominee, according to one Jeffrey Keighley, is Hades. Mark, I've been on the periphery interested in Hades, but I haven't jumped in. You played through Hades. Did you beat Hades? Did you just start Hades? Tell me everything about Hades.
I put a good chunk into it, but I think I reached the third area in the game, so I don't know what that means in terms of overall progress. But yeah, I don't know. Like, for a while, like when this first came out, I wasn't really that interested in it. Like, it seemed cool. Like there was nothing like inherently wrong with it. It just wasn't just in my radar, I was trying to see how many hours I had logged on it, but I can't find it at the moment, but it's fine. I think it's about like maybe close to 20 hours, maybe less, maybe like 15. But I don't know, that game there's a lot there that I did not realize was going to be there, so it was a little surprising. It is a roguelite isometric action game. You are the son of oh my god, what is his name? Who's Lord of the Underworld?
Timmy.
Why can't I think of this? Like, it's all Greek gods.
It's Timmy.
Right. Well, Timmy is refraining me. I mean,
what the heck's the guy's name? Hades.
Is he Hades?
No. Hades is the.
I thought the place was Hades.
Wait. It's been a while since I've seen Hercules.
Is the god.
Who?
Hades is the god of
so
the underworld.
There's also. Are you thinking of Zeus?
No, Kratos has killed Zeus 1,000 times at this point. So
no, I thought Hades was a place, not a person. But maybe it's both.
Maybe in this is both, but it's the underworld. Is technically where Hades is king.
It's hell, whatever.
Yeah, Greek
Hades,
hell,
god of hell. So basically, you're trying to escape from there because it sucks down there. a lot of Olympus wasn't even supposed to know that you exist. So all the other gods are trying to help you by giving you these boons that you randomly get throughout the level. So it's all like randomly generated. And everything that this game does as a genre also affects the story. It's self-aware in a way. Like, it's not self-aware that it knows it's a video game. It's self-aware that, like, it knows every time that you go through this game, the dialogue keeps up with it. So, like, if a certain creature killed you, somebody will acknowledge that. If you get a certain item, everything is acknowledged that you do. And I think that's really cool, because that's a lot of dialogue if you think about it, to have a memory about all that. So, like, some bosses that you have to fight over and over, like, there's that one, I think her name is, like, Megaria, whatever. Meg, basically.
Yeah.
She's, like, one of the first bosses you fight, and she has, like, one wing, and she has a whip, and she just, like, flies around, whatever. And every time you approach her, you just had this, every conversation with her is new. Nothing has been recycled yet from the times that I played it. And they just keep, like, sometimes I beat her, sometimes she beats me. And then, like, whenever you die, you come back to, like, the main lobby of the underworld. And, there's, like, a little lounge off to the side where, like, all these lost souls are, like, cooking and serving drinks and whatnot. And sometimes Meg will be in there, and you can talk to her between going through runs or whatever, and she's just, she's like giving you a cold shoulder more than half the time. So there's a lot of that going on, and as between these runs, you're trying to figure out, like, there's more to the story, there's more to you than just escaping. A lot of family ties, like a lot about Olympus and those gods and everything, because a lot of them are like your uncles and aunts and cousins and whatnot. So there's just a lot to unpack there. But as a game, though, it can be pretty addictive. There's always a new reason to keep going, whether you want to, like, unlock more weapons, unlock more perks to your character, add more stuff to decorate that part of the underworld that you always end up in, like the lobby, lounge, your own bedroom and stuff. I don't know. I'm impressed by, well, just acknowledging everything in that dialogue. I'm just really impressed by it. The art style is really nice. It pops out. Each area, even though you're all, underworld, it all manages to stand out in each section. It all doesn't look the same the entire way through. The way the music changes with everything, it's pretty well thought out. There's a lot going into it than what I realized previously.
Have you ever played Transistor or Bastion?
I played a little bit of Bastion, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I never saw that all the way through, because I really dig the style of Bastion. Never played Transistor, though.
Does this feel like their next evolution of, like, because they seem, besides Pyre, I think that's a little bit of an outlier, but does this feel like the next evolution of, like, the type of game that Supergiant does?
I would say so. Like, this seems like, if you see where Bastion is and bring it up to now the Hades, it's like, yeah, we've pretty much perfected this type of game or formula that they've been working on for so long. And, like, even, like, there's a narrator that will talk, and even I keep forgetting Hades' son's name, your main character. I think it's, like, it starts with a Z. It's like Zagarius or something like that. But, like, he can hear the narrator, and so there's a little bit of fourth wall breaking right there. But that kind of helps move the story along too, because, like, the narrator will say something that like he didn't realize was happening. He's like, "Are you shitting me?" So now he has to go figure that out, all because the narrator said something. I thought that was a nice inclusion. But yeah, this feels like they've definitely have some experience with this, and it shows with that type of game.
Does this scratch the Kid Icarus itch at all? Not like obviously gameplay wise, but like the fact that we haven't had a new one of those games. I know you just played Uprising within the last year, but is the Greek mythology being tapped into in a way there for you?
Oddly enough, no. I wasn't really thinking about Kid Icarus too much with this. I mean, unless I saw Hermes, then I kind of thought of pit a little bit. But aside from that, nah, it just feels like its own thing.
And you're playing on Steam or Switch or
Steam.
Do you have interest in playing it on? Because that's the cool thing with this is like cross save and all that stuff.
Probably not. I think it's a game I'd only want to buy once. You know, yeah, I don't know. Like, I like it. I had to take some time away from it because I think I was getting a little bit into it too much. And I don't know if you ever had that situation with Dead Cells or something where it's like you just play for so long, you kind of get like a little burnt out on it and need some time away from it. Because I was watching people online play, and that's what kind of got me like checking it out because I didn't know about these like smaller details and stuff. And then I had to back away. Then I watched another video. I was like, maybe I should jump back in, but I'm not hard pressed. I'm not eager to get back to it. Like, I got a good idea of it.
With this being like a roguelike, one of my favorite things, it's funny you brought up Dead Cells because I was going to ask this question anyway. One of my favorite things about Dead Cells was you could go through and explore the whole level, but there was also incentive to just fly through the levels after you got so overpowered for like these little bonuses that were locked behind a timer once you got to a new world. Is there anything like that like kind of makes you there's incentive to kind of do things in different ways, or is it all kind of like you're probably best to explore each area to get as many power-ups or whatever it is you get in this game?
So each room is, I mean, you're always locked in each little room, so room by room you can't like really run through like a whole floor like it's Diablo or something. It's just more, it's kind of like, imagine going to a Zelda dungeon and each dungeon the door is shut behind you every time, or like in front of you, so you have to clear the room in order to move on. And there's either one door or two doors, and each one will show you what you can get in the next room once you clear that floor. So you can choose to get like money or an extra like boon or just whatever's based on what's there. And later in the game, you can purchase things to put throughout the levels where after you clear the floor, for example, and before you go into the next room, there might be a chest that's now unlocked. And it's like a challenge chest where it's like you have a certain amount of time to take out all these extra enemies, and you can get everything in that chest. So like if there's a chest with like 100 gold, you have 30 seconds maybe to get rid of these extra enemies, and for each second that goes down, you get less gold. So there's like that little incentive there sometimes. There's not much to explore. When you get to like the main floor of a new zone, that part is pretty explorable. Like you can just appreciate the art. You can walk out to like a ledge, and you can see how much more you have to explore. I mean, like what other zones you still have to go to in the distance, and your guy will narrate and like talk to himself about it. But everything else kind of revolves around the bosses mostly, and the characters in like the main lobby, like floor area, because like your conversations, like that's where most of their exploration is. So,
I'm gonna check that out. You just reminded me that Spelunky 2 came out this year, and I've yet to play it. But Spelunky 2 came out right when 13 Sentinels was coming out, so I kind of shot everything on 13 Sentinels and didn't make room for Spelunky. But yeah, you think Spelunky 2 or Hades? I know you haven't played Spelunky 2, but
I guess Spelunky 2 if I really had to choose. Like I appreciate all of like the added details that Hades has, but at the same time, I'm just not super interested into that story right now. I don't know if it's just because the way everyone talks or just because of that theme. It just doesn't grab me. So I'd rather just play a game that just gets right down to business, just all gameplay and no story, I guess. Because some of that can kind of slow you down, and it might kill the flow of things. I don't know.
Matt, does Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales get right to the getting, or is that more story? How are you feeling about that after we?
So here's the thing. On Monday, I went ahead and finished it. I 100% finished the main campaign, and then I saw that the platinum trophy didn't pop. So I brought up the cards to see that one.
Yeah.
To see that one of those trophies was to beat it again on New Game Plus. So I went on ahead, and in about 2.5 hours the next day, beat it on New Game Plus.
It only took 2.5 hours.
So the main story of this game, if you zip through it, and I played on easy, so dying was not a concern, is 2.5 hours. And that is with some of the cutscenes, about half of them not being skippable. For whatever reason, some of them are, and some of them aren't. And it's not even like a QTE thing, because some of the cutscenes have little QTEs. That's fine. That I kind of expect. But some of them didn't, and it was weird that they could not be skipped. But yeah, it is, if you grind straight, and there's sections of the game where the game wants you to do a side quest before it does the next story mission, before Miles makes the next contact. If you just do a random crime on the street, that's enough to trigger the game to give you the next story thing. So yeah, it is if you are pushing through, it's 2.5 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, but let me tell you,
the platinum overall.
But this is a really good Spider-Man game. If you're getting a PS5, I still think this is the must-buy. For me, total, to get the Platinum Trophy, I think it took about 20 hours or so. And that's including doing some enemy-based stuff. There's 2 different factions of those, so there's more of those to do. There's these weird, I don't like this one, the one side quest is kind of weird, but Uncle Aaron was giving you these little beat drop look to make music off of the environment of the New York. So it was you had to get to an area. It was kind of like a bad Riddler trophy thing with the noises, but that was fine. With Peter being away, Peter left you little training AR missions. It actually had a cool little payoff at the very end of it when you got through all of them. There was the final test. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, no, about 20 or so hours, I would say, for the Platinum Trophy here. But man, this is the perfect extension to the regular Spider-Man game. Couple minor gripes. Miles himself, they replaced some of Peter's gadgets with the Venom and invisibility stuff. For Miles, the Venom stuff is just stronger punches or stronger triangle moves or things of that nature. It's not really a cool thing to do to an enemy. It's just a stronger one, or sometimes needed dependent on the enemy. So I kind of appreciate it, thinking back on my experience with the first Spider-Man game. I kind of appreciated Peter's wheel a little bit more, gadget wheel, just because it mixed up the combat and you could really pull some insane things that you can kind of pull off in the Batman Arkham games, because Batman has all his gadgets and things like that. So I think that was one little tiny weakness. And the second tiny little weakness is Miles' invisibility in sneaking areas or missions. It's a cop-out almost. If things get bad, you just hit it and you go invisible and you start swinging around, and then people can't find you, and then you just kind of reappeared, and it kind of resets a little bit. So not the greatest thing there. Towards the end, one faction of enemies actually had heat-seeking goggles and could see you if you were invisible, which was a nice challenge because you kind of wanted to take them out first, and you were trying to make, it shifted the way you did your gameplay there a little bit, but it was only one faction, and it wasn't, I wish there was some kind of excuse for every faction to have at least one of those people, especially when you think each faction had different weird brutes or whatever. They had their own version of that, but no one had their own version of this person. So that was kind of a bummer. It just felt some of those things got really easy, especially towards the end when you start leveling all that stuff up, because that was the missing third tree, was the invisibility after all. But no, this is easily worth a purchase if you got a PS5 at launch. I can't recommend it enough. Even if you're not even like a big Spider-Man fan, I think like just the gameplay of being Spider-Man, swinging around New York, like once you kind of master it, like it is so fun to do. I
think that first game and what I imagine this one is just like it's McDonald's, right? Like you know what it is, you know exactly what it tastes like, but there's days where you just need McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
it's not new. It's not.
No, it's definitely
like, you know.
When we talked about this, what, last year or 2 years ago with Spider-Man, it was like it's very Ubisoft checklist, but the gameplay's so fun that I didn't mind doing the checklist. The Platinum Trophy never felt like a grind once again in another Spider-Man game because it is so fun to play as Peter in the first game and then as Miles in the second game. Despite my little complaints, but like they're super minor because it's just so much fun to play as Peter or Miles, Spider-Man. I guess let's just say at this point. So
what do you want in a Spider-Man 2 at this point?
I would love for them to kind of go like they can do one of two things, and maybe they kind of interplay with one another. One, they can do the Grand Theft Auto 5 thing, where give me the character wheel, and at any time I kind of switch back and forth between Peter and Miles, and then like they each have like character specific missions or whatever. And then that could also kind of tie into like what Gotham Knights is doing next year with like a co-op where someone could be Miles, someone could be Peter, and then there's like little co-op missions in New York. I think that would be a really cool way of getting around, with both characters being like playable and having their defined set of moves now at this point. Like, this isn't this wasn't like a patched up, like, all right, let's just try to make Miles work as Spider-Man. Like he definitely feels like his own Spider-Man. It's not this, instead of the gadgets, he has the Venom and the invisibility. He has a couple gadgets, but, nothing as extensive as what Peter brings to the table. So I think there's a lot of potential in something like that.
Dude, I remembered that Gotham Knights game is coming. Like this week I was reading stuff and reading comics, and then I forget who triggered it in my... I'm not going to go into a tangent here. They've got Barbara back kind of in an Oracle role, but she's not in a wheelchair. She's just like volunteering to go hang out by a computer and talk to Bruce. And it just made me think of... I was like, oh, right, they're doing that game. Like, they're fully doing that game, and I'm super stoked for it. Yeah, I think... I agree. I think either one of those... I forgot about the GTA 5 approach. The balance between main protagonists. That would be a fun twist here. And then you throw in Spider-Gwen. Just go full Spider-Verse.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
And so that's that's another little mini gripe. There is like a big reveal that is very much not a reveal. One, if you know kind of Miles' I guess background. If you read the comments, I never did, but if you saw Into the Spider-Verse, you know definitely what happens to a certain character. So that's something to remember going into this. Yeah, and like the other thing was like even with like that kind of stuff known as coming, what I appreciated so much about the first game was you knew Doc Ock was a thing. There was like There's no way around it. You just know how every Spider-Man story goes, even though that thing did some things different at the very end. But Doc Ock is Doc Ock.
Right.
Even though you knew what was going to happen, watching the deterioration and Dr. Octavius finding his motive and everything like that, it was like so good, and it was kind of convincing that like at points, even though you knew it had to happen, you were like, oh, is this it? Is this the time, or is he gonna is he gonna save himself? Is he gonna maybe overcome what is inevitably going to end up happening to him? So there wasn't that quite of that kind of good story, maybe not storytelling, and maybe it's just because the game was only 2.5 hours and didn't let some of their characters flesh out, unlike the other main story in the first Spider-Man. But still though, besides those minor qualms, like the gameplay, I think is king here in these Spider-Man games. Playing in performance mode, 60 frames, swinging around, fast travel is great. I think just playing a couple open world games in Demon Souls, Miles Morales, and even Watch Dogs, a little bit of Watch Dogs I played, Like, I can't say enough how much I actually want to fast travel in a game, because it feels like I can fast travel. It's not me looking at a loading screen for 30 seconds and then...
It's not you looking at your phone and going, oh, wait, the game's
no, it is very much there. Like... I think even... I want to kind of look at it again, but like I think there's even an option if you even want to see an animation for loading. I think like you can see Spider-Man in the subway and turn that on or off in Spider-Man or in Miles Morales on PS5. Right. So like it's weird that, I actually kind of want to fast travel in these games. So yeah.
So let me ask this, now that that's done, you've got Demon's Souls, what else is on the PS5 list for you that you're...
Wait and see.
I
mean, I guess
Bug Snacks. I mean, that was free, right?
Yeah, I mean, all right. So things I'm looking forward to. Things I'm looking forward to. I guess maybe Ratchet and Clank, but like on the console right now, yes, I will probably give Astro's Playroom a go. Yes, I will probably turn on Bug Snacks. I don't see me being grabbed by Bug Snacks, but I will do it for the people. I will try it out. Madden, the PS5 version of Madden does drop in early December. I'm curious. I'm not expecting much, but I'm curious about that. So at least we'll try that. But yeah, I mean, like, and that's fine. Like, I knew it was going to be. We're going to have this run of games early, and it's going to be kind of wait and see mode for some of the other exclusives. But like, that's kind of why I got both of them, and I still have my PC. Because here's the thing: once Cyberpunk comes, I'm going to be spending a lot of time on PC again. And then,
you can look forward to that in February of 2022.
Then, when Halo comes out, bounce between Xbox and PC, wherever, it makes sense to play that game yet. So, like,
Yeah, when you're 40 and Halo comes out.
One of these games will come out eventually, right?
Sure, yeah, okay. You say so.
Hey, I don't have them, but I still got these fresh receipts here with the Monster Energy. Ready to go.
I forgot about that. See, I don't like regular Monster. If I buy a Monster, I buy like a one of the teas, or I like the Monster Max, the super dry.
Ooh.
But anytime I bought one of those Halo ones because I was excited, and I did it with Apple Pay, and got home, drank the dang thing, and then read the side of it where it was like, upload this,
receipt.
Make an account, and show your receipt. And I was like, the one of these I'm going to suffer through didn't even get a heckin' thing.
I actually registered a receipt because I bought a 4-pack once. And once you register it, you can still keep the, like, you make an account and you still keep, like, the points under your account. Then you can choose how you want to redeem those points. Like, it basically... all it gives you mostly is like a set time to have like bonus experience points or something like that, like little boosts or something.
In Infinite or in 5 or
in Infinite. It's like hey, get like certain amount of like boost for this amount of time based on how many points you have saved up. Plus you get like any extra like skins for like your stuff.
That's what I wanted. I want a black and green monster themed Mjolnir suit for...
I saw it that they had it for guns. I'm not sure about armor yet, but I also don't know if that was America, because I think the UK got something like that.
Oh, lame.
What Halo should do, or I guess Monster, or whoever's in charge of this, someone in charge, listen to me. Because you bought the 4-pack, because you bought the 4-pack, you should be able not to get double XP. You should be able to get Octo XP for that set amount of time. Octo XP,
not quad.
No, Octo. It costs 2x across 4 cans.
Okay, this makes sense.
Trademark that. Halo should trademark it. You want all the XP? Octo XP. Boom. Real big. If the monster font, like, just go for it.
Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, 4, 5. Reach. Which means this is Halo 8.
In the main line. I was going to throw out those iOS games. But,
I was going to throw Halo Wars in if I had to, and the Spartan Strike ones, the top-down shooters. Yeah. This is Halo 8. So with Halo 8, Octo XP, I approve this message.
And Infinite Science just to 8 sideways.
Dude. Boom. That's how they got to Infinite. Someone Someone has got paid probably $300,000 a year just turning 8 sideways and like, oh, guys, that's the name, Halo Infinite.
That's done.
Someone made $343,000 to make that decision, hence why they work at 343.
There it is.
I played some of the 8th generation of Pokemon this week. Last week we talked about, I wrapped up the Pokemon Isle of Armor expansion, the first expansion for Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. This week I took my first steps into the Crown Tundra, and it is exactly, if you played the Isle of Armor and you've yet to jump into this, it is exactly like the Isle of Armor, except better and snowing. When I say better, I just mean you can tell that everything they'd started to build with Isle of Armor in terms of open world, animation, free camera, free roam, all is at play here. So at the end of Isle of Armor, after you complete the trials, you get the ability to have your Pokemon follow you. As soon as you step foot into Crown Tundra, it's like, hey, welcome to Crown Tundra. You can, your buddy can follow you around. Like, it's just right away. So I got my little Cubfu hanging out with me because I'm still trying to train him up to level 70. Right when you get there, you meet Peony and his daughter Peonia, or Nia as we know her. He looks a bit like the Giovanni of this game, of this region, except like not dapper and in a suit. He's in like orange adventurer's gear, like a big snow jacket or whatever. So you meet them, they're kind of arguing about something because she wants to go out on her own and he says she can't, she's not old enough or whatever. So you're standing there and he's like, I want to battle. So you battle him as you do, and some of the Pokemon logic still sucks, and you know what I mean, just because it's like this would never happen, you know what I mean, obviously. But so you battle him, and in the battle you come out of the battle scene and Nia's gone. Where'd she go? Off to the cave she went. So he kind of runs after her, and then you make your way down there eventually. And when you get down there, there's this science lady in there, and he's just trying to like run through the caves, and she's like, you can't go, you can't, whatever. And they do this thing where he's just like willfully ignorant and not listening to her. Like, she's trying to explain, like, you can't just go through this. There's a whole process to going through the caves. And it's their way of tutorializing the caves for you, but they do it without just making it a tutorial. They do it in a way where, like, she's like, hey, you look like a sane, normal person. This guy is not listening to reason or anything I say. Can you please explain to him he can't run in there? So she goes through, she explains that the way they do it in this, it's a silly thing, but it kind of works. You go through labyrinths in the game. They're Dynamax adventures is what they're called. From the player perspective, it's a top-down maze with multiple paths that go up. If you played Final Fantasy VI and you recall some of the battles where you have to fight, I don't remember who it was now, those. the Caves of Narsh, I think is what it was. It's kind of similar to that, at least the one that I did. So these are in the Crown Tundra that you explore with a team of up to 4 trainers to hunt legendary Pokemon. And of course, the first one you do is tutorialized. You go through it with Peony. I'm sorry, no, not with Peony. Story-wise, he's there, but you're actually going through it with just other people, other like NPCs in the game. The scientist explains there's particles in the air that could harm your Pokemon because they're not necessarily prepared for the environment. So they've specially prepared and trained Pokemon to be ready to go through here. So you actually are given loner Pokemon to take through the caves with you. And at the end, the idea is that you're hunting down a legendary Pokemon of sorts. And this is where Pokemon 8th generation brings all of the legendary Pokemon from generations past into one single spot. The guy, Peony, is like, it felt like listening to Charlie Kelly trying to explain science a bit. Like, he's like, so you're saying that all Pokemon are made of particles and then particles are just dangerous. So yeah, I get it. I can go in now. And it's like, it really looked just nonsensical. Like it felt different for Pokemon. It felt like a little, like they had fun writing it as opposed to it just being like kind of that trite, tired writing for kids. You know what I mean? Like it's still not where I would love a Pokemon game to be writing wise. But it's definitely doing something a little bit different. I was excited about that. And yeah, so you go in and at first I was like, spent all this time. I spent money to get all of my Pokemon into the game, and now I've got to go through this Dynamax adventure without Pokemon that I love, and I have to work with a Duraludon. Do you know a Duraludon? Can you name one of Duraludon's types? Mark, you know a lot more about Pokemon than Matt. What is a Duraludon?
Is this a brand new one?
No idea. But that's the point. It's like,
it sounds like it'd be like a dragon steel type or something.
I already forgot. But I did like him a lot. And that was kind of the neat thing that at first I was upset that like I've got this Kubfu I'm trying to train up. I've got these other Pokemon that I brought with me. I imported some of my Pokemon that I caught in Japan in Pokemon Go. I brought them into the game because I was like, that would be a cool thing, right? Have a little Japanese Litwick and whatever. So I was bummed, but then like I totally got to use Pokemon I otherwise wouldn't have used. I wouldn't have used a Duraludon. I wouldn't have used. So what's neat is as you're going through this labyrinth, it's kind of like split into lanes, Dota style. And as you go up one of the lanes, you have like 20 seconds to pick. Do you want to do the water type battle, the poison type battle, the air battle, like whichever you have a Pokemon you're going up against in a Dynamax battle. So you plus the 3 other Pokemon, because you only take one in at a time, against one Dynamax Pokemon of a specific type. You choose a lane, do the battle. At the end of the battle, you have the opportunity to catch that Pokemon. And at that point, and only at that point, can you swap out. So I think the first one I did was like I don't remember, like a Vileplume or something. You get to the end of it, and then it's like, okay, you can catch the Vileplume. And then before you go to the next stage, it's like, do you want to swap out your Duraludon for Vileplume that you just caught? And if you don't, somebody else can take it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a first come, first serve or whatever. And you keep moving your way through until the end. The legendary Pokemon I had was Suicune waiting for us at the end. The problem, I too, Mark, was doing my old hanger hands. You can't catch him. I don't know why. You could catch every Pokemon up to there, but Suicune, they didn't give me the opportunity to catch it. And then at the end of it, you pick one of the Pokemon you caught during the Dynamax battles to keep after the fact and take home with you. So I guess when you actually get in and you're doing these things properly, you'll start getting the legendaries, because I think actually the 3 dogs there's a story beat in the Crown Tundra that involves them. But again, like that seems to be the main hook here, is the Dynamax adventure top-down thing, which is, I think, a cool twist in the Pokemon gameplay. You know, it's giving you something else to do. It's not traditional. It's kind of like a dungeon crawler, but not really. And that was pretty neat. I did do the Pokemon Go transfer stuff. So we talked about it last week, and I mentioned that it was kind of like weirdo that you have to like wait some time or pay some money, and it's really not that bad. I was sending Mark screenshots of it last week as I was doing it, and like I was able to transfer a good chunk of Pokemon that I actually wanted to bring over for not that much of I forget what the thing is called. It's called the Go Transporter, and you have so much Go Transporter energy. And I brought over 5 Pokemon that I wanted. One of them was a legendary Giratina, and it used half of the transporter energy, which wasn't too bad. And then of about a little over half of that, it would then take 3 days and 16 hours to charge back to full. So 5 semi-rare Pokemon it would have taken almost 4 days to get back to transfer another 5. I guess if you're trying to transfer every single Pokemon you have in Go, it might take you some time. But for me, I just wanted to grab a couple and see what happens. When you bring them in from Pokemon Go, they do mark that they came from Pokemon Go. They do not retain any of the location data. So my excitement about having a Japanese Ghastly in the game and whatever, and having it say like this was caught in Osaka, gone. So like the Pokemon I have left in Pokemon Go that say I caught them there or whatever, because that was always the neat thing about Pokemon Go, is looking back at the Pokemon you caught and being like, oh, I remember that day. Like we all left work and went to lunch and we all like chased after that thing. Like you have those real memories tied to those Pokemon.
Yeah, I remember catching my 30th Pidgey in Dundalk. Yeah.
Those maybe. But like there's definitely ones where like I still have like the Wartortle that Tyler Block and I like ran through the streets of, around here when it first launched, like just like trying to find this thing because we heard other people in the street going, "There's a war turtle over there." You know what I mean? And like, it was cool. And the fact that didn't hang on and show up in Pokemon Home, a little bit of a bummer, but all the same, I think it's weird I'm playing Pokemon again. But also, I think the Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor are two really good examples of how I hope the Pokemon Company is changing that game up.
So I was right about the type.
What was he? Dragon?
Steel dragon.
That makes sense.
Not the image I was expecting. He just looks like a mountain.
Mm-hmm. Like a metal mouth.
It's just like this big glacier with just like a little beak at the top of it. It's like his head is peeking out at the top of it.
He looks like a mini one of the legendaries from Gen 4.
But I was thinking of was I don't know how to pronounce it. Como-O. He's like a fighting dragon. He looks like silver and gold scales, but he's like a biped. I think he's from Sun and Moon. I'm not too sure.
They had a lot of weirdo ones.
But like, he just has like these weird scales just like hanging everywhere, and I thought that was the Duraludon thing. Whatever.
Did you see where this guy was from? Which gen?
The Duraludon one.
Yeah,
I think he's brand new.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Again, like that's the part of this that I did like, is because I never would, I'm not gonna ever put a Vespiquen into my party. Sorry, dudes, just not happening. But I think that was neat. Quick question of the week, or not of the week, but a little question segment here. Now these are for the listener out there. We have an outline we work out of, but Mark and Matt do not know the following questions. This first one of the week from Mark. Matt, feel free to chime in. But Mark, I read The Last Ronin this week. For listeners, for Matt, The Last Ronin is a new Ninja Turtles comic book set slightly in the future. The only standing turtle is Raphael, right? I feel like I'm wrong about that.
I mean, do you actually want this on air, or?
At the beginning of the story, let's leave it at that point.
Well, you don't know. That's the...
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know who it is, so I thought it was Raph. Either way, there's only one turtle, and the other ones are just kind of voices in his head as he walks through this like post-apocalyptic thing, trying to whatever.
Hellblade, all right.
Huh?
Hellblade, all right. Hellblade meets the turtles.
Yeah, a little bit. The other big piece of this is that the original creators are both working together on this with some other folks who've been working on the IDW comics. Mark knows way more about this than I do, so I'm going to stop saying stuff before I sound like an idiot.
No, you're fine.
My question is, what is the last Ronin of video games, or what should be the last Ronin of video games?
I'm not sure on like what you mean. Do you mean like within the game world itself, or like the game company development outside of it?
More the game like, do you want Yuji Naka and company to come back and make a weird, dark, gritty Sonic game?
Okay.
Where Tails is just a voice in his head, or like what is the last Ronin of video games too? Like if someone were to take this approach to their creation, who would you want and why would you want it? How would you want it?
Man.
Or has it already been done?
Shenmue
3.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where to begin with this. Cause like my first thought is to go to like a game that hasn't been out in a while, but Turtles has been out the entire time and are doing well. And I mean, the story is old. It's an old concept that they're finally bringing to life. Which is kind of not exactly the same, but it kind of reminds me of like the Old Man Peter storyline. I don't know if you ever read that. Where like there's a Spider-Man graphic novel where like Peter Parker's like super old and he's like has to fight the Sinister Six like one last time or something.
Oh, I remember Old Man Logan, but not.
Yeah, like it's kind of like giving me like those vibes with with The Last Ronin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it would be kind of cool to see Zelda take that route.
Put Miyamoto back in charge?
Uh,
Or just the like weird gritty.
I mean, yeah, like the developer point of view, I can't really put a spin on it, but you know what? Developer wise, actually, I'll hop on the meme train and go with a Hotline Miami 3 somehow. I don't know how it would work, but I think if you had somebody survive, because I mean, for people who didn't play 2, everyone gets nuked. So that's their way of avoiding a third game. Like they jokingly put like a 3 at the end just to fuck with people. But no, if you had somebody like somehow survive that blast, which I'm sure could happen.
Sure.
Yeah, Indiana Jones in a fridge.
Yeah, you could probably have something like Nuclear Throne, but a little more involved. But yeah, but game wise, I think Zelda. I think I would like to see like a old man Link past his prime.
That'd actually be really cool. Like a one-armed. His arm is his hook shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take down Ganon one last time. I recommend Last Ronin, even for someone who's not kept up with the Turtles comics. I had a good time reading that one. It led me then to like stare at all of the stuff and be like, where do I start? What should I do? I want to text Mark, but if I text Mark, it's going to spoil the surprise of this question. So I have to wait a week to figure out Turtles in my life.
And if anyone's curious, sorry,
huh?
I was gonna say if anyone's curious about the comic, the whole point of Last Ronin isn't the mystery of the Ronin. They answer it by the end of the first issue. But in case anyone is curious,
I'm gonna leave it there. I want to like geek out about the ending of that, but I'm gonna stop because you should read it if you're at all intrigued by that. If you have an answer for who you think or what you think should be the last Ronin of video games, podcast@thefreecheese.com is an email address you can send it to, along with your conspiracy theories. Send them our way. Podcast@thefreecheese.com. I think we have a special check-in here with a Rusty Shackelford Conspiracy Power Hour.
We do. So, on the last couple of weeks here, I keep saying I'm going to play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, dude. Why is that not on the lineup here? Or did you? Why do you keep dragging
that? I believe that is lost in the mail. So, yeah, that I did not have a copy of Assassin's Creed yet, and I want to do the physical thing because I did as I talked about when I'm leading. Remember, I keep talking about these things on air. I did the Target buy 2 get 1 free. And that's how I got Watch Dogs. That's how I got Yakuza, which we'll talk about later, and Assassin's Creed. So, we're gonna contact Target tomorrow, figure out what's going on. But I got to thinking, why this one? Why is this not around? Check. So I have a tracking number. It's just sitting in York, PA, just pending shipment information or whatever. But it's in New York, evidently. At least where the label's at. But that got me to thinking, what if? It's not even a what if. It's probably. This is Brit Facio's secret way of reaching out to us. What if she knew I was getting Assassin's Creed? She knew where I was going to order. She did the research. She went to the Target distribution facility, stole my Assassin's Creed in York, PA to tell us she's located in York, PA in our everlasting side quest on the Free Cheese podcast of where's Brit Facio?
Or PA was just the last spot where there's a portal to Valhalla, and that's where she really is.
That's also a possibility. But I'm saying, this is a sign.
What else could PA stand for?
Pahala.
We need to have an ongoing shared document of all of the Brit Facio clues and hints throughout. It sucks. I feel like if we had a bigger podcast following, this would blow up to a point where someone would actually get Brit Facio too.
And here's the thing. Do we know her real name is Brit? Because, Matt, you sent me that link the other week about getting the adapter for the PSVR for PS5 or whatever, because it's free. Now, I filled that out, but I don't remember exactly what I had to put in for that to get it mailed to me other than my address. And for some reason, I had a package here. I didn't open it because my name wasn't on it. But my brother found out that it was, he looked up, I overheard him. He looked up SIE and it was Sony. It was the adapter piece. It is my address, but it's not my name. It was a Stephanie Wilson, apparently. I don't know who that is. Nothing on my computer or information has that name. So I don't know. I guess they just messed up shipping stuff out. I don't making a label. I don't know how you mess something like that up. But maybe that's another sign. Maybe that's her real name.
Well, this sounds like one of those excellent scenarios that I encountered in the Black Ops Cold War single player, because
I'm so sorry to break your transition because that was a great transition, but Stephanie Wilson is an astronaut. This just keeps getting deeper, man.
Do you think she's on the moon? Is she on Mars making the gateway to hell?
Valhalla's
is Doom a real story?
planet.
Is she the Demon Slayer? Is the Demon Slayer a dude? Or even a dude? It's 2020. Anything's possible now.
All this says is that she has flown to space on 3 different missions, 42 days spent in space total.
I don't know.
Did she green screen her house when she did the video? Was she secretly on the moon? Is that why her pig squeal was so good?
That was her way of communicating with aliens.
It's very tough. Very tough. Yeah, I don't know how to follow this. I guess Black Ops Cold War is how we follow this. Matt, yeah, you wrapped up Cold War.
Yes. Still, I'm yet to touch the multiplayer because I'm going through the ends of the Battle Pass in Modern Warfare, and they are not cross Battle Pass yet. That happens with the first season in Black Ops. So I will talk about that later. But the campaign, it started typical, but this ended up being really fun. And, typical 5-6 hour thing. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into if you're getting Black Ops just for the campaign, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I found this to be very interesting into the end. Once again, the Black Ops franchise, their campaigns just seem to be they kind of just mess with you in ways of just whether it's twists, you kind of the story's going to throw a twist at you, I think, now at this point when you play a Black Ops game, but it's just a matter of what is it or how it affects things and whatever. But from the last start of this game or the campaign, it's a wild ride. And there were times where I was just looking at the screen, things were happening, I'm doing things, and I'm just what the fuck? At times I was I'm kind of playing PT here because I keep walking down the same room 3 times and it doesn't end. So I thought it was really well done. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought a lot of the mission designs, especially the last 2/3 of that game. I can't talk about the KGB headquarters mission. I actually had to go back into it because I missed intel in it, and I did a sequence of events another way, and it still paid off. It paid off the same, but it's they gave you so many avenues on how to get around that mission. It was a lot of fun. The second to last mission in this campaign, I think I don't want to get into it for spoilers reasons, obviously, but I think that's going to be something that a level that's going to be remembered with this game a lot. And then the campaign at the very end, it does do that thing of do you want to go option A or option B? But sometimes, a lot of those times, the game just does that just to say, just to put on the box multiple endings or whatever. This felt legitimate. You kind of went through all this shit, and you're warranted to make the decision of A and B, which does radically change the ending of these games. Now, of course, I think the one's only going to be canon because this is technically in the same universe as the other Black Ops games. But the other ending possibilities are wild. I didn't go back to do them, but I watched a YouTube video of them all. They are wild, and I think they're fun. And it just goes back to that option of you kind of go through all this shit, and you're given option A or option B, and I think both options are warranted. I think that decision comes at a good time. And I think the endings based off those decisions are well done as well. So It doesn't feel like a cop-out to do that. There were different things. It kind of did what Fallout does, where like there is a cinematic ending, and then they do like that narration ending based on some other choices you've done. There was a little bit of that. That's where the side missions kind of came into play. So like if I didn't crack the case, like the work before going into the mission and doing it, I would have just gotten like a slap on the wrist in that scene. So the cool setup for the side missions didn't really have a good payoff in my opinion, but it was still fun to do like the little puzzles. It made me think more so than I ever have in a meathead, just like go forward, shoot kind of scenario that these games throw you into a lot. But yeah, no, if you are someone that like just is cool with paying like $60 for a campaign, don't really get into the multiplayer, this is one of those campaigns I would recommend from the Call of Duty series. I had a lot of fun with it. There are some references to the other games. I am not fresh on Black Ops 1 at all, but I remembered a couple things. 2, I hardly remember, and I don't even think I played 3's campaign. And then, of course, as you know, I did not have a campaign, so you don't really have to worry about that. Yeah, no, this as kind of its own standalone thing, and as long as you know the characters Woods, Mason, Hudson, as long as they sound somewhat familiar and you kind of vaguely remember how the first campaign went, you're in great shape to play this.
Do you think that someone jumping into this raw would be okay still? Like, or do you feel like you kind of needed a little bit of that background? I
would recommend one of those like little like 3-minute. IGN actually does a really good job of doing like this little 5-minute recap videos. I would maybe just throw on one of them just to have a little bit of frame of reference. I think you'd be fine. I think there would be some things you're kind of missing out on. And one of the endings.
Well, yeah, like not to go back, but like The Last Ronin, I'm reading it, and like I'm sure as soon as Mark saw this guy that is in this giant building, he's like, "Oh, I know who that is," but I'm like, is that Shredder? Is that? And like you eventually you figure out Shredder's grandson, right? But like,
I mean, I think that character's new.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But like I'm reading it, and I'm like, I'm sure that people get this that I'm not getting on this level or whatever. But yeah, I get that. It still worked for me, and I guess that. What are the top 5 Call of Duty campaigns?
Ooh.
Would you put this in the top 5? A and 2.
It's a tough, as far as Black Ops go, it is a tough, which one is 1 or 2 between the first Black Ops, and this one. I think that kind of puts into perspective how well liked that first campaign from Black Ops was. I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first one, I think that's forever going to be the best campaign. It's going to be a very hard one to top, just because, I mean, it's been long enough. The sheer fact that you got nuked out of the sky and your character died was like, what the fuck? like anything can happen in this game and in this series, and it kind of set this series up for a lot of these kind of moments. So I think that's still number 1, but like somewhere between 2 and 4, I think this it could fall into there with me just kind of thinking off the top of my head of like my favorite campaigns. Yeah, but this one,
Black Ops.
Yeah, like Modern Warfare very much did the. I kind of said this last week too, but I'll double down on it again. Like Modern Warfare was very much like who is the good guy in this story, and this one's more like who knows the most truth. So and that's where I think the word Black Ops, all that comes from, and very good, worth a playthrough if you buy it just for the multiplayer. If you're just a campaign person, I say buy it.
Oh, the hot free cheese recommendation. How are you both feeling? Do you want to jump into the next segment or head to a break?
I mean, I'm good for whatever.
We can break. I think the next thing's a little meaty,
It can get there for sure.
And you probably have to set some things up for this one too.
I do, yeah. That's a good call. I gotta send over and All right. You're gonna listen to a song. You're gonna enjoy the song. It should be playing right now, probably. And when we get back, it's time for another night, another dream. Right after this. Welcome back. It is time for Mark to take his next steps through the dungeon in Another Night, Another Dream. Listeners just joining us, there's a crafted dungeon that Mark has been wandering through that I can see, and he is uncovering room by room with video game trivia, the free cheese history, all sorts of fun, weird stuff hidden inside. Mark, last time we skipped last week so we could focus on new consoles. You stayed in the room where you left off, but now we're picking up. You last left off with a video game brought to you by old Humble Bundle keys that I forgot I had, and it turns out that in that room you've now just found yourself. What is this here? We've got 4 more keys, maybe more will turn up. But that means 4 doors for you to unlock this week. Where you are right now, you've got a door to your left. You've got a door to your left, and then you could go back into the room with Melina and head to the right if you'd prefer.
I'm still gonna stick to my left.
Heading left.
Yeah, a Zelda left theory.
All right, so we are gonna unlock the door, and inside, Mark, you have found. Oopsies, not that.
A trap, pitfall.
Mark, through the door in room D8, you find Shigeru Miyamoto taking a bath. Which video game did he just dream up?
Okay, so all right, I was waiting because I wasn't sure if it was a multiple choice answer to this. What game did he just dream up?
This is, of course, a reference to the fact that Shigeru Miyamoto dreamt up a video game whilst taking a bath.
Oh, so this actually did happen. Star Fox?
The answer we're looking for is Donkey Kong. Miyamoto pressed to try and impress the Nintendo heads, but also working a lot in his young days, fresh out of college as an aspiring animator. Spent a lot of times working at Nintendo, and then he would sleep at the office. They had like little hotels set up in the office, or little like dormitories, so to speak. So he would hang out, take baths after work to kind of decompress, and it was there that he thought up Donkey Kong. In the bath. Okay. So it looks like Miyamoto kind of sinks lower into the tub. He was waiting to offer you a banana, but
you know what? He can keep it anyway. That's quite all right. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that bad banana.
So just from our duck room, we could head up, or you could again return back to Melina and see what awaits you on the other side of that door there.
You know, I'm gonna slowly back away from Miyamoto as he's just peeking at me, just with his eyes above the water and making bubbles. And I'm gonna keep walking backwards into the Melina room.
So here we are in the Melina room. We're gonna unlock the door, taking us to the right of Melina, and awaiting you inside. Matt Sellner joins the party.
Ooh. What? Whoa! I expect a turn here.
Did I just free him from like a prison?
Yeah, Matt's been hanging out here trapped this whole time. You see, Matt was formerly forced to make decisions about who would live and who would die, and because of that, he's been cursed to stay trapped in this prison. But now that you've freed Matt, he can join you. He has some slightly different stat values than you.
Okay.
But he's going to help you along the way. And he brings with him 3 keys.
Ooh,
so
I'm a key man.
You, Rick Moranis, Keymaster over here.
You know what? It turns out that I rolled wrong here. Let's bump this down a little bit. Don't want to make it too OP. Okay, so you've got Matt in the party. From room of Matt, you can head down or head right. And also I need to remove a key from you.
I want Matt to feel the awkwardness of Miyamoto in a tub with me, so I'm gonna show him that room, and then we're gonna.
Oh, you want to head back to the Miyamoto room?
See, because I was afraid to cross the tub by myself in case he would have jumped out at me and did something, but now I have Matt with me, so I feel a little more secure and confident about it. So,
all right, I that's fair. That's fair.
Also, if he jumps out, he can. Never mind.
So from there, we unlock the door to room D9, and who awaits you but Sephiroth?
Oh, I am sorry.
Drag me into this death trap, I see.
He is...
I'm going to head back to Miyamoto's room, hang out with him in a tub.
He is staggered and mad that he has lost the battle in who would win in a fight. And in his haste asks you...
Oh, so he's...
What is the name of Sephiroth's sword?
Is this for either one of us to answer?
This he's looking at you, Mark. He has his blade trained on Matt for making what he believes to be the wrong decision. Ready to strike Matt down.
I mean, I know it.
But he's asking you, Mark, what is the name of Sephiroth's sword?
Masamune.
Correct. He retracts the sword from Matthew's neck. He hands you a key. A special key.
Oh.
And informs you that you could, if you'd prefer, move left or right.
All right, Matt, I'll take your input this time. Do you want to stay in the Sephiroth room, or do you want to go back to your prison cell and try one of those doors?
I honestly don't care.
Okay. Well, then, we are going to go, No, let's make this interesting. I'm gonna make a run. I'm gonna make Matt and I run back to his room and go down.
Ah, okay.
Some cardio.
Yeah. I like it. So we are gonna.
Miyamoto's getting pruny.
He's having a good time though. He's happy you guys are just coming around.
The bubbles aren't coming from his mouth anymore, so I'm getting a little concerned.
Unlocking the door beneath Matt's former prison, you uncover a question here. The question written on the wall, I can't really tell what it's written in, but it just says, what was the best game released in 2015?
I'll let Matt answer this one.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Matt, what was the best game released in 2015? No binging.
I don't remember. I have a hard time remembering what games come out what year.
I mean, I do know. I mean, I know the answer, but I thought Matt knew too.
I had to make sure it was the year. All right, and I'm sticking. You know what? I'm gonna be a true politician here. I'm sticking to my goddamn guns.
No, what did I do? What have I done?
And I'm gonna say Fallout 4.
Oh no!
Oh man,
Matt died.
It looks like no one took damage. I have in here the says if Mark says Bloodborne, the pale moon guides him plus 3 HP. But you didn't say he's Bloodborne, so no extra hit points for you.
That's fine.
Was that your final key? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that would have been your final key. So, as it stands, you've got 3 keys from Matt. Now, Matt's keys will not replenish themselves on your journey. These are the 3 and only 3 that Matt will get. You seem to keep getting lucky and finding keys each week to these doors, so I don't know what the heck's going on. You can dip into Matt's keys now, and you can decide to head down, or you can head right from Matt's previous room, and of course you have the Sephiroth left and right options.
Want to burn one key a week?
End it for the week.
I am going to keep my head down and walk down through that room that we're in, looking down in shame.
We're going to unlock the door below. What will await us? Awaiting you inside of the door below our Bloodborne scrawl on the wall.
Is that a cupcake?
It's a cupcake. What's your favorite flavor of cupcake?
Ooh. Is there a wrong answer to this one? Or is this a freebie? All right. I don't know if I actually have one, but the last one that I enjoyed was it was chocolate with salted caramel icing.
That was the correct answer.
Oh.
No, there was only one wrong answer. But that was one of the correct answers.
What was the wrong answer?
I don't like anything that would be like key lime or like something that I would eat
no.
is the wrong answer. Like if you made a dumb choice in muffin or a cupcake, that would be bad. I would strongly approve of anything what involves peanut butter. I think if you did a mint icing on a chocolate cupcake, that could also be dope. I think now this is just coming to me now. What if you did chocolate peanut butter cupcake and on the top of the icing part is banana flavored? Peanut butter, banana, chocolate.
I'll try it.
Anyway, that brings you up to +1 to your attack because you're really stoked that you got that little cupcake. So, look at you. And that is burning one of Matt's permanent keys. It's up to you. You got 2 more of Matt's keys you can burn through. You can end it for the week.
I think I'm gonna savor this cupcake.
You savor the cupcake.
Savor.
Hang out in the room.
Are there any doors in that room, or just is that a dead end?
That is it. That is a dead end.
Nice. We cleared a path.
Yeah.
I mean, you rescued me. I didn't even know I was trapped, but I guess a part of my soul was.
And now you got him back and ready to go. So there it is. We still have a handful of rooms to explore. I'm excited to see how this all shakes out in the coming weeks. Listeners, stay tuned for that when we pick it up next time. For now, IO Interactive has announced Project 007. IO Interactive developers behind the Hitman series had this to say: it's Bond, James Bond. Project 007, working title, is a brand new James Bond video game to be developed and published by IO Interactive. Featuring a wholly original Bond story, players will step into the shoes of the world's favorite secret agent to earn their 00 status. In the very first James Bond origin story, IO Interactive is currently recruiting elite talent from around the world to join the team that will build out this exciting and unique gaming title. What do we want? When is the last 007 game? Or, yeah, 007 is the phrase. When's the last James Bond game? When was it? PS2?
I think it was GameCube PS2 era. I thought they tried remaking GoldenEye or something on the Wii, right? Or was that canceled?
They did do that. Did you play that at all?
No.
All right, let me take you on a little journey called The Life of Joe Dix. I, like many of everyone, had a Nintendo Wii, and said Nintendo Wii fell by the wayside as fewer and fewer games were released on that interested me. And then suddenly, there were these little rumors about this thing called Project Cafe which later turned out to be the Wii U. But the promise of what Project Cafe was, the fact that they were going to get back to the core gamers and cater to us and blah, 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 blah. I was like so stoked about Project Cafe. Wii U, less stoked about when they finally announced it. Obviously, you know my feelings of the console after the fact. But at the time of like Project Cafe, I was so excited. And with that, I immediately ran out and was like, what did I miss? So I grabbed Mario Galaxy 2, and I saw that they'd put out this GoldenEye remake on the Wii. And I knew it was a different game because they put Daniel Craig in instead of Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, that's the one. And what excited me most about the game was it came with the Classic Controller Pro, and it was a special gold one in the box. Now I'm remembering this story has a bad ending where I bought it at a GameStop. GameStop. And the only copy they had left was clearly the one that all the employees took home and tried. And they sold it to me for brand new price. And I was like, this isn't new though, so...
Oh man, that argument. Classic argument.
Yeah, and he was like, we just have to use the shelf copy. And I was like, right, but like there's scratches all on the back of this disc, so whatever. And I bought it, and then I was leaving, and I ran into our good friend Akko, and I'm talking to him about it. And I was just sitting, I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, it's not sitting right with me that I bought this. And like, I didn't know if the controller had been molested at that point. I didn't really know what was going on. Like, the disc was scratched to heck. So I was like, this sucks. So I went back, returned it, had to argue with the guy because he was like, why do you want to return it? And I was like, because I was just in here and told you that it's not new, and I thought about it, and I shouldn't have spent new video game price on this thing that's clearly not new because there's scratches all over the back of it. And you guys, well, no one's played it. I'm like, okay, give me my money back, goodbye. Then I left and went to Target, and I bought the Classic Controller Pro and a new copy. Spent way more money than I just spent on the little bundle thing because they didn't have the gold one, but I got a black Classic Controller Pro and the GoldenEye remake. Came home, played it. It wasn't fun. I don't remember the end of that story, but there we are.
All I remember is the announcement trailer or whatever, where everybody's in like a little like boardroom or something, like at a table, and they're like, "What if we told you that we were gonna make a new GoldenEye?" And everyone was like, "Oh my god, GoldenEye!" And then I remember some like shitty CG stuff, and that's it.
It was fine. It was totally fine. If you found it right now and you played it, it would be fine. But I think playing that local multiplayer stuff was so much of what we did in there. And like, by the time they remade that game in like 2010 or so, it just, multiplayer shooters had evolved several times at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, we used to do that. It was like, no, we used to do that before we used to do that, before we used to do that, before we used to do that other type of... Like, it just...
You could just tell they had nothing to show for it. It was just like, they knew what they were doing.
Activision got the license, and that was it. Anyway, I'm excited about 007. I think that's intriguing. I'm not the biggest Bond fan, but I like that IO is being able to stretch out to new territories. Hitman's been great, but what else can you all do?
I think...
This seems exciting.
This is what I think the game is going to be like. It's you're gonna be walking around as Bond, right? You're gonna it's gonna all feel familiar because IO and their distinctive flavor with their games, and all of a sudden you get into a little issue in the game, you get into a little situation, and you start to notice that like the hair physics is a little weird in this one. It's like not going the way, it's like not kind of unnatural, and then the wig slides off, and you're just a bald dude with a barcode on the back of your neck. Agent 47 again.
Oh man, that would make me so happy.
He killed Bond.
Yeah, this is probably Project 0047. Then more than. Sorry, I got distracted. Oh my, I'm just gonna be transparent. One, that GoldenEye game was not the last one released. I couldn't remember what it was, but I looked it up while we were talking about it. It was that 007 Legends game where they had Daniel Craig's Bond going through old missions in past movies that were like Sean Connery.
You know what? I was
Pierce
probably
Brosnan
using
and stuff
that,
like that
with GoldenEye on Wii or whatever it was.
And I remember that was like critically panned. I remember that everyone saying that was a bad game. But Daniel Craig was in that GoldenEye. It was just he was in another James Bond at the game that was like
Weird.
Yeah, I like the fact that IO is self-publishing this one too. That's going to be it's going to be interesting to see. And as much as I thought like, oh my god, could you imagine open world design where you're James Bond, you're scoping out all these things and you're doing all that? I don't know if that's going to play well as a James Bond game. So, and when you think about it, Hitman is not the best game when it comes to cover-based shooting.
I beg to differ.
Foe after foe. So they're going to have to work on that engine just a little bit.
And they can bring back.
I just realized
they can bring back Sean Bean.
That's true. Yeah. Do you remember now? This literally just hit me that every time I threw that hammer when we recorded those videos, I sang the James Bond theme song and kept saying this has nothing to do with that, and now it totally does.
You're a prophet, man.
Oh man.
Huh.
I think someone from IO watched a video. I think that's what happened.
That was probably it. We got big fans over there at IO Interactive. Watching Hitman with a Hammer seasons 1 and 2. More on that as it develops. Speaking of developers taking a step out of their comfort zone and trying something new, the developers behind the Yakuza series made an RPG largely inspired by Dragon Quest. And Matt, you have been playing it on your Xbox Series X.
Yes, that's correct.
How is it? Because I'm excited about this one. I just don't want to play it until I play the others.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm excited, too, to play the game. After 2 hours. That's where we're at. I can launch the game. I watch a lot of cutscenes. I occasionally move my character. I watch a lot more cutscenes. And then I have a fight that kind of briefly describes what's going on, but it's not, I can tell it's tutorials. No one's in my party. I'm just hitting hitting attack and I'm beating people. I'm not doing anything special. And then I'll watch more cutscenes. And then my dude goes to jail. Ichi goes to jail. Then he's out. Now I watch more cutscenes. I've done a couple more fights since then. Still tutorialized, not even tutorialized, but straightforward, nothing special. No one's in my party. And that's where I'm at. I'm still waiting for the game to kind of start after about 2 hours. So, based on what I play, I like what they're doing. So far, I can say it is straight up turn-based, almost like Final Fantasy X style. You can even see the list of people up next in the top right-hand corner, very much like Final Fantasy X. And it's not and you can take your time, you can plot your moves, which I kind of like that stuff in RPGs where I can think about my next move or I don't feel rushed. As much as I like the classic Final Fantasy VII, I don't like the fact that if I sat there thinking of what to do next, the enemy will keep attacking you over and over. Especially when you start to add a lot of magic and you have to scroll through menus and you're looking for the exact thing you want to. Yeah, that doesn't get fun, at least for me. So. I like to take my time in this, so I know it's not the most advanced thing in the world to do just regular turn-based, but it's something that fits with me quite well, so I'm excited for that. It is ridiculous, they take the things, the little bit of Kiwami that I did play, the fact that if you're standing next to a bicycle and you hit A, you don't just punch, you will take the bicycle as a special attack and just, beat the shit out of a dude with a bicycle and get a bonus damage thing to it. There is a when someone is attacking, of course you're going to take damage, but there is a thing where if you time the attack perfectly, you can get a little defense bonus by hitting B at the right time. So it's kind of like a parry mechanic. It's not like a parry, but it's kind of one of those perfect timings where you can take maybe 5 less hit points than before. So there's some meat to these bones. I loved it. I loved how they explained this system because you do the first fight and they kind of tutorialize it. It's dialogue boxes, that kind of stuff, and they force you to do the moves. But at the end, the dude you're with, I guess because of the pivot, they had to describe why it is the way it is. And the dude who's either Ichi, you gotta learn to just take advantage of the situation and keep hitting people. And they're he was no, I've learned my fighting just from experience and from playing Dragon Quest a lot. And they just go into that where he's it makes me feel like a hero that I can take damage and then still overcome that damage and beat up someone. So I just loved how they were tongue in cheek with the fact that he's waiting to get his ass kicked because it's turn-based, but he's just going to return it right back because he's so confident in his power. And the fact that he just throw out Dragon Quest as inspiration for his fighting style, I think I was laughing when all that was going on.
That's cool.
But yeah, the story is setting itself up. It is very there's some complicated things going on, which I like in games like this. There's a lot of different motives. There's a lot of unknowns as well on what exactly happened. You're being fed the story, but you're being fed from one source. You're not getting it from the actual source, and it's someone like you trust. So there's a lot of moving parts there, or maybe who to trust or what's going on. Exactly, but I am much looking forward to getting into this when the meat and bones finally show itself.
Yeah, I want to hear about that one. Are you excited for a JRPG right now?
Not.
I understand this game is about 80 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna take a little bit of time, see if it grabs me or not. Right now, like I said, my biggest gripe right now is just trying to play the game. I understand you have to kind of go through everything, but yeah, you're it is what it is. But we'll see. Like I said, Watch Dogs didn't grab me, so the Xbox is open to play. I can't play Demon's Souls forever. There are those times where you feel like you had this great run and you just get killed and you just feel like throwing a controller through a wall and you're no good after that. So there's times you have to put that game down. And Assassin's Creed is owned by Britfaceo now. So that's where we're kind of stuck at.
Well, more on Yakuza Like a Dragon next time. During an interview this week with a Sega 60th anniversary interview with Yakuza series producer Daisuke Sato, he was asked which Sega IP he would be interested in developing that he hasn't had a chance to be involved with. The quote here says, "It's an IP that I haven't come to before in the sense that I want to try it. Well, Sonic. After all, when you hear Sega, you think Sonic. I'd like to get involved once at least. But for me, the so-called Sonic is, well, if I were to do it, I wouldn't do Sonic as it was. I would like to make a completely different Sonic." Given this interest expressed, who would be... I think he could make an interesting Sonic game. I think having a different approach to Sonic as like an adventure game might be different. I don't know, interesting. Who would be... My question for you guys is not anything related to this, but who would be the worst team to give Sonic the Hedgehog to?
EA.
It's funny because I heard Matt saying BioWare before you said EA.
But BioWare has made a Sonic game.
Oh, you're right.
And not many people liked it.
I have it and I want to play it, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, I think it's a turn-based RPG as well.
Yeah.
No, I read this as... I don't know, because I read the notes and then I just assumed person, so I didn't think of team, although BioWare is a great answer because, I don't know, it might have been the first thing I thought of, or EA, or possibly some shitty team from Activision. No, so I went with people, and of course, number one answer would be myself, because I would can that shit immediately. And I will make you wait. Wait for this shit. No. I got a grand scheme to this. I will make you wait and crave that Sonic and crave that Sonic and crave that Sonic, and then I will give it to some B team and they're able to sell like hotcakes because you all want it so bad. And then you're gonna get it, and you're gonna get the same disappointment you got like 20 years prior. So I'm gonna make a lot of money.
It's just 20 years continually.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Until Sonic Mania came out.
So So that's. That was my one thing. And then the second thing was Jim Ryan. So we always go back to the quote from Gran Turismo is who likes to play old stuff. Well, of course, I'm not a big Sonic fan, but critically, the best Sonic games are the old ones besides Mania. And, he's going to ignore the old shit and keep giving you the new one.
So just Sonic Forces 2.
Yeah, and 3 and 4, and then, who knows, Knack and Sonic might be in a game together.
But this one's in 4K, so it's okay.
Yeah,
right?
4K, 30 or 1440. Oh, never mind. You can't do 1440 PS5. 1080 60.
I feel like I tend to make these weirdo questions something semi-optimistic, and I went for the pessimism this time, and I don't know how I feel about it. feel gross about it.
You know,
I hope the future of Sonic is doing well, and I can't wait for the 30th anniversary next year. Please make it good. I think who should make a Sonic game is Atlas. Specifically, publish it with the Atlas flair and let Vanillaware develop it, because I finished 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim this week, and I really like that game. I have never finished a Vanillaware game because I usually find myself getting a little bit lost or bored or kind of tired at getting partway through it, which is on me, not them. This one I would say is no exception to that. There were definitely parts, especially with the combat stuff, because remember, this game is split into a couple of different gameplay things. You have the visual novel side, and then you have the tower defense style combat. And I think that the story got so interesting by the end and so interwoven that I was like, that was what kept me super excited. And then when it would pop up and like literally lock a big lock over a character's face saying, please complete second area through wave 5 before continuing, it was like, I gotta do this. You have to kind of stop, go change gears, and get into the tower defense mode. I think that was tough, but I think also I didn't do myself any favors by marathoning so much of the story and then marathoning you know what I mean? I think there's the option to do it however you want to do it, and I think if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have maybe like do 2 or 3 story chapters, then jump and do 1 or 2 waves of the tower defense instead of kind of saving them all for big bulks at a time. But I found it interesting with this game, and I have to be careful here because I don't want to say too much, but when there was a part in the game where you kind of like, okay, I see what they're doing. There is a part in the game where it's like, oh, this is like that movie. And I could have said the name of one movie and you would have been like, oh, okay, I get it. It keeps going, man. Like, that one movie I said, yeah, it's still sure. But what if that movie also had this movie and this series and this comic book, and also there's so much that's original, but also so much of like, because now that I've beat it, I went back and I read through interviews with everybody and stuff, and it's like seeing where they pulled a lot of the influence from different manga, different anime series over the years, like just like, oh, okay. And it's funny because the one movie that I thought of was not one of the direct influences, but it makes total sense. Yeah, so like that all together, though, I think the combination of influence is, I don't know, man. It's a wild story that genuinely, like, you kind of figure stuff out, but it really just keeps adding things in a way that just like, it was really good. Like, I haven't felt this way about a story since Nier, I don't think.
I had a feeling that was gonna, something like that was gonna like be compared. Like,
not in a way that like I feel like one is. I still think I like Nier. I walked away from Nier feeling more, right? You know what I mean? Where this one I walked away just like, that was a good story, but like it's so complicated and so dense and so everything. Like it, I think that, and it's so surprising too. Like it was just really cool and really weird, and like someone doing something that I hadn't seen before. It not even just in a video game, but in a story itself. And I think, again, the way that they layer the reveals between each character, because you start to figure out pieces of how this mystery is all coming together until it's all whole, and really, really good. I'm this close to the platinum. The problem is,
yes,
you need to. It's really not a hard platinum to get. You got to do all the story missions, which is simple and encouraged. You need to complete, every combat piece has a ranking and sub-challenges. You have to complete the sub-challenges in every one for one trophy. Another one is to get S rank in every one. I'm missing like a handful of the challenges for a couple of them, because it was like only use or make sure that these 2 pilots are on the team. And at the point in which I had done that, those 2 pilots had been burnt out and I couldn't use them. I could you can do a thing to like reload them, like whatever, give them a break and like re-heal them, but that resets your multiplier. So I never did that. So I would, I got to replay a couple story missions basically, but it should not take me much. And I can have those And in doing that, then the other two trophies I'm missing are unlocking all of the mystery files. And you do that by completing those bonus objectives, getting S ranks. So kind of hand in hand, I'll get all of that stuff with a little bit more time. I wanted to get it done before Hyrule Warriors came out. So I kind of did that and walked away. But what a game, man. It took me close to 40 hours to get everything done that I got done so far. And work's been heavy. So I will say that like the last few weeks playing this, I would like work all day, make dinner, sit down, play this, and then wake up and it's like 10 o'clock and I've been asleep for 2 hours with the controller in my hand. So some of that close to 40 hours is not totally gameplay time. Yeah. Still want to make yakisoba pan, whatever. I'm going to make me a noodle sandwich sometime soon here. The food in this game, bar none, man.
I'm sad that I got more interested in this. I mean, from what you said in the footage I watched, that when you were talking about the first week, you talked about this, and then like it's in Reset Era. There's one of the there's yearly threads are starting to pop up now. And it's like, oh, what's the most underappreciated game this year so far? And that thread, 2/3 of that thread kept saying Aegis, 13 Sentinel. What the hell is his name? 13 Sentinels, Aegis Champions or something like that. Yeah.
Aegis Rim, yeah.
Aegis Rim. All right, First step, learning the actual name of the game so I can search it properly. No, I'm just sad that like I can't get to it this year, and I think like once we have our deliberations, we talked about us doing something a little bit different, but still, we're gonna have to kind of spoil it for each other at least. I feel like once I get the story beats, I don't see me playing it after that part. But I
don't think I'm gonna do. I mean, this is a different, but I don't think we need to roll all that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah.
I
so
talk
like
about this game in a way.
That's the one thing. I was like, I don't have time. No, I just
and this is definitely it's something too where when I did start to feel the crunch of like, oh, I want to get this done before Hyrule comes out on Friday, feeling that pressure to finish, that I think made the ending combat pieces feel worse to me than, if you're just kind of playing organically for fun. But the fact that I kind of put myself on a deadline, that hurt it. But
that happens to any game. I remember that happened to me with Death Stranding when I said I was going to try to beat it, and then it ended up being like 18 hours straight. So
I think especially there was one point where I felt like I can beat this tonight, and when I knew I had a whole another night of it, it was like, all right. But yeah, really, really, really good. And I still, the one thing that was cool is knowing that game came out a year ago in Japan. And was set to come out here. The story, I can't remember which news site picked it up first, but there was an interview with the localization team that worked on this game to bring it to America, and the work that they had to do in COVID remotely in its fastest time as they did to get this game out the door when they did, because it got delayed by like a week when it was supposed to come out like November or September 15th and got delayed to the 22nd or something. And that was pretty late in the game. But that extra week gave them enough time to like wrap up everything. Like, they got the localization done quickly because it was not supposed to have a full English voice cast.
Oh, wow.
And it did. And that part is really wild to me, especially considering like how well I think the performances are in the game too. It does not sound like something that was done quickly.
Ronda Rousey was a part of the cast.
Not that I know of. I don't think so. No, a lot of familiar voices from Fire Emblem Three Houses and some other game voices.
How long?
Nolan North. Nolan North and Troy Baker.
No, thankfully none of them are in this game. Yeah, that is 13 Sentinels. I play it if you haven't. Arc the Lad R. Boltron Games announced they're releasing the Forward Works developed Arc the Lad R for iOS and Android worldwide. Game first came out in August 2018 in Japan. An overview of the game via Boltron Games. The Arc the Lad series debuted in 1995, and Arc the Lad R is set in a world after Arc the Lad 2. 10 years after the Great Disaster that saw the loss of half the world's civilization, Arc the Lad R will follow a story told from the perspective of a young man named Halt from Vigilante Corps of Milmana. I liked the good chunk of that first one I played earlier this year on Vita, but I never finished that one and never played 2. But Mark, you played some of, was it 2 or 3? The whatever one was on PS2.
I think they're like, I think the ones on PS2 might be standalone ones. But yeah, I played Twilight of the Spirits, which is PS2, and then there was kind of a follow-up, but not, called End of Darkness, and that one kind of like featured all the main characters, but I remember not liking how that one played.
Do you have any interest in a mobile game?
No.
I've been playing more mobile games here and there on and off, but not sticking with any of them, so I don't know. I could try one, but I'm not sure if I necessarily want to do this one. But we might have another mobile game to check out in the form of a potential sequel to The World Ends With You. Square Enix has launched The World Ends With You related countdown website titled Time Limit Within 7 Days, which will end, the countdown on the site ends November 24th. A link to the website shared out by Square Enix, and then it was noted that there's a World Ends With You like pin or something made as the avatar. I think the last one, they did one of these games, right? There's only been a single one, but then they did port it to mobile.
Yeah, and to Switch.
Right.
I have it for Switch. A friend gave it to me. I can't stand it.
I remember it was not your cup of tea.
I hate it.
Now that
I've never hated the game so much. Like,
well, hold on. Legend of Zelda. What's that Zelda game you hate?
Triforce Heroes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
the one.
I mean, okay. Yes, but if I am to give Triforce Hero its credit, at least you can move the character with the control stick.
What the hell are you going with?
This is all touchscreen.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
Right, because it was a DS game. I forgot about that.
It probably makes sense. It's probably way better as a DS game, but as a Switch game, with just maybe just holding a Switch pad and that, like, it's like you're not supposed to have the Joy-Cons on it or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. The controls are just butt awful. I can't. Can't do it. It's just.
Aesthetically, though, that seems very trademark. So if they made a sequel that was playable with a controller for human beings, would that intrigue you?
Maybe. I do like the art style, but everything else around it, it just sucks. And it makes sense that it was in a Kingdom Hearts game at one point. like the characters from that are.
I forgot that was the case.
I think they're in the DS game.
Is that 420 over 69 days?
Yeah. I think it's either that or Dream Drop Distance. No. It's Dream Drop Distance, I think.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah. No, because I think...
Really? I thought you'd be
because I think the Days one was a regular DS game, and I think Dream Drop is a 3DS because it's 3Ds, 3DS, 3Ds.
We've got one more question here. Looks like... Matt, you wake up and grab your phone from the floor where it's landed after vibrating all morning amidst the onslaught of notifications letting you know Miramax has just announced Halloween Rise, a brand new video game directed by Hideo Kojima. Gathering yourself, pulling your thoughts together, you check your email and see that Kojima has emailed you asking for the top 3 things he needs to do to make a great Halloween video game. What are they?
Make the walking simulator from Death Stranding Michael Myers. Step 1. The other 2 things. I actually think, I know it's been done, but if Hideo Kojima, he can pull something weird here. The 1v5 horror thing. Let's give the Death Stranding wobbling, like make Michael Myers walk with L2, R2, or the triggers or whatever, and like make him slow as shit.
Right.
But just OP or whatever. In other ways, give the survivors all the Metal Gear shit, so that way they're hiding. They can hide very well or run or whatever.
Right.
So I guess that would be the second thing. The third thing, though, what's like, Oh man,
what would be the So if you're playing as Michael Myers, right? What would be and you have these survivors doing that Metal Gear stuff? What would be the survivors' way of winning?
I think that's the Kojima twist. You don't win. You think you can win, but you can't win. And maybe make it competitive. Maybe instead of winning, it's the last one to die. Who's the Laurie Strode of the group? But trying to think what could Kojima do weird. I would love for this to have like some kind of
Church's song in it.
Huh?
Put a Church's song in it.
Have Churches just do the theme.
Okay, I could get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah. Between the Death Stranding mechanics and then the L2 R2 to make Michael Myers walk, and the Metal Gear esque hiding. I don't know. I would also really like. That's the third mechanic. Is I think one of the best parts of the first movie is the fact that he's just in Haddonfield, just kind of doing his thing, just kind of looking at Laurie from afar, at various times. What if this was just like a long play thing? Like, Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, they're done. Those rounds are done in 15, 20 minutes or so. 2 hour game sessions. First hour, Michael Myers just doing his thing in Haddonfield, getting his mask and his weapon, driving around, staring at people. You get experience boost to level up his powers the more you stare at people. The survivors walk around. They do their daily thing. As long as you meet your objectives, you get bonus points for better survival. And then once you start getting haunted a little bit more, once you start figuring out that something's getting weird going on, you start to acquire materials for self-defense. Oh, man. And then just, Konami, they want to, lease out that, or license out that Fox engine. Sure, we'll work with that too. Or I'll take the RE engine at this point. You know what? Fuck that Fox engine. Give me the RE engine.
I was gonna say I know this question was for you, but it made me think. What if it was like Metal Gear Solid 5, where you can kind of approach it however you want to as Michael Myers.
Oh, that's how I assumed that at this point.
Okay, yeah. But it's also kind of like semi-battle royale, where it's a whole neighborhood of survivors, and you are the wave that makes it smaller.
Yeah, I like this.
That's pretty good.
I like this. Yeah, I can literally recreate my favorite scene from the 2018 Halloween.
Yeah, just walk through each house.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's not bad. Speaking of not bad, the winter update has arrived for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Just quickly run down this before Mark and I talk about Hyrule Warriors and we head out of here. Turkey Day, November 26th. Franklin shows up and will host a gathering in the plaza. Collect ingredients to go in dishes that will be on display in the plaza, and you might get a gift from Franklin as a thank you for helping him cook. Toy Day happens on December 4th. From December 1st to 25th, you'll be able to purchase toys from Nook's Cranny and find holiday-themed clothing at the Able Sisters shop. Jingle will show up on Toy Day, of course, and if you help him deliver presents, you will receive a gift. There are 9 new reactions added to the game, 6 new hairstyle options. You can upgrade your home storage to 2,400 slots now. So if you've got a whole bunch of stuff you've been hanging on to, like all them pumpkins I got outside of my house, you can do that. And then there's going to be seasonal items starting December 1st. We talked about those, but then December 26th through the 31st, New Year's Eve items will show up. So you got a whole slew of wintry stuff happening, all leading up to a countdown starting on 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Pulse check, Animal Crossing. I could see Mark's face.
I still have not touched this since Easter.
Whoa. Was it Easter that killed it for you, or was it just the game mechanics itself?
Just the game itself. It's not the Animal Crossing that I enjoyed. It's just I don't know. It's too sleepy for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Everything's just, I don't know. The music just, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling this one.
Yeah, very pastoral. I get it. I had that with did it with Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
It took me a while. I did come back to it, but like last year, especially the locale, just not there. Matt?
I don't know. I want to get back into this. I just don't see a situation where I do for, what I was actually playing earlier in the year. I mean, hey, look,
TV time.
Hey, look. 2020, it's been a terrible fucking year. Let's just be real. But hey, I kind of like an Animal Crossing game, so something positive, right?
There's some bright spots throughout, like Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. Out this past Friday, I did not get to spend as much time with it as I wanted to, but I got to play a little bit more than... Well, the demo save progress carried over, which super good. Which meant I could pick up right with going to get each of the champions. So now at this point, I've gathered all the champions as playable characters, and that's about where I stopped. I got Mifa, Urbosa, and Daruk. I like how they... I'm going to say a little bit, and I'm going to kick it to Mark for most of this, because you've played a bunch more than I have, but I keep forgetting that I'm playing a Dynasty Warriors game. Like, it genuinely feels like Breath of the Wild in so many ways. Like, not exactly, obviously. Like, the gameplay is completely different and that, but, like, the way they were able to create this world feels so much like Breath of the Wild that I'm like... It just feels like another Zelda game in a way. What did you think of like gathering all of the champions? Do you have a favorite to play as?
I don't play as them too often currently, but I think Mifa and Urbosa are probably my top favorites. Daruk is cool. Rivali is my least favorite. I don't even like him as a character. He's just like
No, I never did either, and it was so fitting that like to get him, you had to go fight his people.
Yeah, he's like a wannabe like Falco, and
yeah,
no thanks.
I very much appreciate Daruk's sprint in the game. It's
just rolling out.
He just roll. Yeah. What are you thinking of the game so far? You played a lot of we both played the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone back and played that one on Switch with the definitive edition and all the bells and whistles there. How do you feel like this one stacks up against that?
Man, it's surprisingly so different. Like they each have their own vibes too. Like the first one, I really appreciated, like kind of like the direction they ran with it. It felt like a celebration of Zelda, and I love the music. That felt the most Dynasty Warriors to me, was like having just like rock covers of like all these Zelda themes and stuff. And the combat felt very true to the characters, but everything felt more like a nod or a callback to something, which is nice. So that whole thing is just one giant like love letter to the series. And I think it's a good start. And then you have Age of Calamity, which is like when Koei gets a chance to really focus in on a specific franchise or like game, rather, Breath of the Wild in this case, their attention to detail is more than a nod. It like actually everyone feels well thought out, and their play styles fit that character. So nobody is just a generic, hey, hit a couple quick weak attacks to a strong attack. I mean, yeah, you do that, but the ways you do it are so different. Like Rivali, most of his combos are when you're flying in the air. Mifa's, the best of her abilities is when you have that little geyser portal thing you can teleport to, and you get the best out of that.
Right. Zelda's completely different than Link, and
yeah,
is also completely different than Impa, and like they're just
it takes a little bit, kind of like a fighting character. Like, I mean, in a fighting game, it's kind of like learning a character, and each have their own like move sets you kind of have to figure out. So it's like, with these buttons, how complex can they be? And it's like, it's surprising how much they can be complex, and it takes time to learn, and I really appreciate that.
I kind of felt it after playing the demo that this was, obviously I wanted Breath of the Wild 2 this fall, but this is like such a welcomed surprise. Are you feeling in a similar way, like now having gone way further into the game than just the initial demo?
I really enjoy the pacing of this game. I mean, the demo was a good start. It seemed very promising, and I think it's still holding to that promise. Because like one of my biggest complaints of Breath of the Wild was the lack of skill in combat. Because you have so many weapons to choose from, you're limited with what you can do with them versus just being really good with one weapon. So this game fixes that problem for me immediately because it's all about combat. That's what they're known for. So it's so tasteful how they do that. So I'm really appreciating that. And I'm not overwhelmed with exploring a big open world because usually sometimes that can deter me if I'm not in the mood for it. So I love that the map is just, hey, pick this place, go here, pick this place, go here, do this thing, whatever, unlock this thing. That helps my simple casual mind of just like keeping it going. And then the bigger fights are what keep the story going, but you can do all this little stuff in between if you want to. You don't have to do it, so it's all optional. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think so far, like, I've skipped all of those, like, hey, go do this combat thing. Now that I've gotten all the champions, I want to go back and do those, because you can start to, like, get more materials to fill out different icons on the map and things,
and yeah, it's some of those little things unlock more stuff, too, without you realizing, so.
Yeah, that's, I really dig this, and I think that this coming week is Thanksgiving, so like, I always associate Thanksgiving with Zelda, even if there's not a Zelda game brand new, but like that's just, I think of Thanksgiving, I think of sitting down and playing a game, and it's like Zelda. So
it's kind of the same boat, yeah. I usually the fall, I just think of just fantasy in general, but yeah, Zelda usually, it's like Lord of the Rings and Zelda happen to fall in that, and for me. Now, one thing that I'm not kind of like, I guess that I'm not the most keen on is the way they explain things. It's they don't really tell you how to do the attacks. Like they just tell you like hit a button and it does this, but you kind of have to figure it out for yourself. There's a lot of trial and error, and that can be frustrating depending on the character and what situation you're in. For the characters, I'm kind of okay with it. I kind of figured it out on my own as I went on, but controlling the divine beasts kind of wasn't the greatest telegraphed.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, I know it's all shoulder buttons, that's fine, but like they don't tell me what they do. I kind of just have to guess and just figure it out for myself and do it, and it's just so different from the rest of the game. It just felt like it was just kind of like tacked on in there last minute.
I didn't love them. I was like, oh, this is cool that we get to play as them, but like those missions just,
it's like they were just trying to fill in whatever.
Yeah. But no, I mean, overall, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, if you're looking for not a Zelda game, but a game set in the Zelda world that I think is really, there's a lot of depth to it, and I think there's a lot of replayability and things to explore. How many hours would you say you're into it now?
So I did snooze a little bit with the game on, because I never, like, I have a bad habit of not closing games on my Switch. Like, I'll just go hit home and then forget that it's still running. So that happened, and I had my Xbox on because I was watching Hulu or whatever in the background. So I had it, like, there's maybe 4 or 5 hours where I wasn't playing it. So it says I have about, like, 22, 24 hours clocked in, but I think it's probably about, like, 16 or 18 or something.
Okay. But you still feel good, like you're finding new content, there's still story beats that are carrying forward? Like, is it actually connecting the thread between 100 years ago and the beginning of Breath of the Wild so far?
Yes, but the parts I did not expect them to really focus on, like a lot with the Yiga clan and stuff like that. I thought that wasn't going to be as prominent as it is at the moment, which is cool. So I guess it's nice. I mean, they're adding some refreshing perspectives on the story that, like, I didn't think there would be time to fill in these moments with, like, characters you haven't seen before or characters you've seen but maybe not in this way, because Breath of the Wild had those old memories that you could, recollect and find throughout the map. So I was like, how they going to fit in this? How they going to fit in that? But they find a way to make it work, and it doesn't really seem too forced or out of its element in any way.
I'm looking forward to seeing that stuff. I think I need to switch voices back to English then, because I made everything. That Zelda voice was grating on me, and I don't love the English narrator either. But
I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I don't really think about it. I'm just like, that game puts me in a it's just in a wavelength where I just go and do it. I'm just like very worker bee about the whole thing.
I'm excited to play more of that this week. I'm going to keep play a little bit of that tonight after a fried chicken adventure, which I'm about to embark on. We embarked on a journey last week, and after playing Tetris Effect Connected, I have a question of the week to send off, not for us, but for the listener to respond, and then we'll get back to next week. But which game, like Tetris, would you want to play cooperatively as opposed to competitively? Email us, podcast@thefreecheese.com. Let us know, and we'll read your responses next week. You can follow us all on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at Some Free Cheese. The Matt is at MattyAce131. Mark is at Og_mental. Podcast@thefreecheese.com is an email address. Ask us anything. Drop another hint on where you think Brit-Face Yo might be. Try and guess who is waiting in the dungeon in another dream. That's everything from me. Happy Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
What do you guys got? You got a Hyrule Warriors this week, obviously, still kicking. Yakuza Like a Dragon for Matt.
Yeah, that and Demon Souls. We're going to talk Demon Souls next week.
Nice. So stay tuned for that. Mark, anything outside of Hyrule?
I don't want to say anything else just in case I don't get to it. I'll leave it as a surprise.
Intrigued. Stay tuned for a surprise then in episode 378. I need to find some Ninja Turtles games, but that's probably going to be difficult to do.
You want to borrow my arcade?
Good ones.
Actually, yeah. All right, that is it. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll be back next week. Bye.